Hello and good morning to you. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. I am joining you this morning. I was having some challenges with my audio, so I jumped on a little bit later than I normally would. Good morning, Annette. If you can hear me, please just comment as such, just to let me know that you're in fact hearing my audio. I'd greatly appreciate that. I'm just giving this a quick test here, guys. Hang with me. I would hate to do this test here, and it seems like I am good. All right, I'm finally seeing Bertland and it saying yes, you can hear me. Thank you so very much. Good morning, happy Monday to you. I hope you guys had a blessed weekend. I am so grateful to begin another day, another week. Uh, had a restful weekend. Had my wife and I work through some. It's a springtime. It's my favorite season of the year. I love the freshness, the renewal, new life. Seeing the trees sprout again, grass, new green. I love everything about spring. And it's a season where I find myself often looking back at the uh, the goals that I have set. I'm not one as of June of 2016. I took a different approach to setting and pursuing goals. I'm not big on New Year's resolutions. I've been big on this concept called a BHAG in setting very big, hairy, audacious goals, which is the concept of a BHAG. It was initially created by an author, Jim Collins, in his book Built to Last. And it's a way really to stimulate progress, right? I have set multiple BHAGs back in June 26th of 2016. I wrote out 10 big goals, right? Uh, to many, they're unreasonable. To you, it's a stretch, but they're attainable. And so I set my BHAGs again back in June of 2016, and I set them out to say, hey, these are things that I wanted to accomplish in the next 10 years. And so back in 2016, I launched Trailblazers in February of 2016. One of my big BHAGs was to interview 1,000 successful Black leaders and entrepreneurs. I'm about a fifth of the way there, just a little bit beyond that. I've interviewed now over 200, and so while that was outside of the limits of possibility back in 2016, I'm slowly moving in that direction, right? Uh, and so I want to encourage you because I'm bringing up BHAGs. I spent this past few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, really beginning to look at my BHAGs, looking back and saying, hey, where are we? And in the last year, I think I shared a tweet yesterday, I believe, where I'd shared, I'd been planting and watering seeds over the last 4, 5, 6 years with the podcast, with all the other things, several things in my life that I was planting and watering. And in the past year and a half, in many ways, I got discouraged. I got discouraged because life, smacked us all real hard last year. And in many ways, I began to think that a lot of what the seeds I'd planted were being uprooted. But in many ways, I think what was happening was God began to prune, right? We can't be growing, especially in the spring season, right? It's a season where we're pruning, right? We're looking at ways to get our plants right in order and ready for this next season of growth. And so um, BHAGs aren't just goals. They're goals. They're big, hairy, audacious goals. But as you pursue your goals, things will change. As the pandemic has changed things for all of us, right? We all went through a challenging season. We all felt in some way, shape, or form, whether personally or professionally, that some things were being uprooted, that we weren't exactly happy with. We all talk about change as though we enjoy it, and it's hard, it's painful, as Annette shared with me yesterday. And so I want to encourage you guys to give thought to your BHAGs. I've spent time on not so much on pad and paper, but in my digital notebook, sitting down, looking at where I'm at today against 2016 when I initially wrote down those goals. Where did I need to pivot? How did I need to reframe? These aren't just static goals, right? They're dynamic. And as Napoleon Hill said in his book, Think and Grow Rich, in the second chapter of Think and Grow Rich. If you don't own this book, grab yourself a copy, right? Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. This is an amazing book written almost 100 years ago, but it's so applicable because in many ways he's talking about the Great Depression, and I relate it in many ways to what we're going through right now in this global pandemic. And the very first of several chapters, he talks about having to have a burning desire, having to have an obsession about the things that you would want to accomplish. And in Jim Collins, I just finished reading Good to Great. And in Good to Great, and I'm trying to find if I can find this application window, I wanted to share with you this visual of what Jim Collins calls the personal hedgehog concept. And it really articulates something in a visual that I have been it's been fueling me for so long, because oftentimes I ask the question, not only what are we passionate about, what are we most passionate about, but what do we have the skill to do? What are your skills and talents? As my dear friend, Mr. David C. Moody, right here, often said on Trailblazers, he's been on Trailblazers 2 or 3 times now. He said, hey, you have to have the passion, you have to have that burning desire to do something. But I could have a burning desire to sing, and I can't, you don't want to hear me sing. That's stuff for the show. So you have to have that burning desire. You have to be passionate about something, but you also have to be best at something. You have to have that skill. You have to have that talent to do something. And in the course I've created an online course called Brand New Academy about 3 years ago. And we had a boot camp maybe 3 weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. And I talked to everyone about, not just having the passion, not just having this talent, but also making sure that there's a profit component, also making sure that you can earn from this. Because if it's a passion and a skill, that's just a hobby, right? You have to make sure that there is what Jim Collins calls in Good to Great, an economic engine, and the ability for you to earn from it. And so if now listen, I am running StreamYard. I have 2 screens up. And as I had shared with you guys on Friday, managing all these multiple screens can sometimes be a little bit taxing. So I am away from StreamYard. I'm not looking at comments thread right now. I will in just a minute, but I'm going to come back here because I want to share this graphic that so clearly illustrated this concept in a way that I think was just fantastic. So here it is, right? It's part of what Jim Collins calls the hedgehog concepts. And I'm a give a big ups to agilelifestyle.net, where I borrowed this graphic from to share with you. I found this over on Pinterest. I was searching for a visual. I kind of did a scribble on a 3M notepad, and I'm gonna probably take a shot at recreating this, but they did such a fantastic job of this graphic, and it says everything without me having to explain much. Again, as I talked to you about just a minute ago, you have to have passion, right? That top left circle talks about your passion. What are you deeply passionate about? The bottom talks about your skills and your talents. What can you be the best at in the world? And the last circle in this wheel covers your economic engine. What can you get paid for? And the middle here, where you see your hedgehog, this is actually your BHAG. This is the goal, right? That encompasses what you're passionate about, what you're skilled at, and what you can get paid for, what I call your profit engine, right? Or Jim, what you consider where you're profiting, what Jim Collins calls your economic engine. And I love that Agile Lifestyle, did a good job of sharing, like, hey, if it's just skill and passion, that's just a hobby. If it's just skills and profit, that's a job. Your passion and profit is the dream, but the combination of all the above is where that BHAG should live. Isn't this awesome? I love this graphic. I let me know in the comments if you're digging this visual right here as much as I have. So again, I'm sharing this because, and many times, listen, there are a couple people I shared this exercise with. My brother Sean Dove, Annette, my sister from another mister. We were talking about this over the last several weeks. I've been, while I initially wrote my BHAG back in 2016, it's dynamic. I'm always looking back at it, always striving to gain clarity. I believe that having a vision, having a big picture vision, I always talk about having a clear idea of where you're going, right? Your vision is essentially you opening your Google Maps and getting directions to a specific destination. If I'm driving from my home in Maryland to go visit my sister in Florida, I'm not just going to jump in the car and just drive. Even though I know the way, I'm going to open Google Maps because it's better than Apple Maps. And I'm an iPhone guy, but I'm just saying. I'm going to open Google Maps and I'm going to put in an address, a destination, and I'm going to take the best route to get there. Along the way, there are going to be detours, there are going to be accidents, and Google Maps is going to reroute me. The same is true for your vision. Your vision is that destination. It's that place you're trying to get to. And initially, you're going to have the goals that you're going to task out the things that you need to do to get to the different milestones along that journey. But along the way, detours are going to come up. Times like last year, that hit just about everybody watching this really hard, and probably still is in many ways for many of us. And you're going to have to detour. You're going to have to reroute to get to that vision. The vision doesn't change. The plan to get there will. But it requires clarity and it requires focus. If you don't have a clear idea of where you're trying to get to, you'll just end up driving in circles, right? Because you'll get pulled off and say, you know, this drive is too long. Let me just go ahead and hit up Hilton Head Beach and spend a few days at the beach. And then, you know, you might end up coming back north and you get confused. It's so easy for us to get confused in all the noise of this time, this season that we're in. So the first big thing you have to do is get clear on your BHAG or BHAGs. My thing is there are more than one thing, you know, many things that you and I want to accomplish, that we want to pursue. Entrepreneur, leader, manager, doesn't matter what your role is in the work world, in your career. We have many things we want to accomplish. So document all those big, hairy, audacious goals of yours. Document that vision. Where do you want to be when you're retired, right? Retired is no in air quotes, because I don't think we ever do retire. But at some point, for me, it's going to be, you know, in a beach chair somewhere on the coast of Jamaica, enjoying a couple red stripes, and some sand and some good food, right? Where are you going to, when you're sitting at that point in time and looking back at what your life had accomplished, what would you want to have done with your time? I think that is a great starting point. I think that helps to inform the BHAGs that you document. And then you really need to begin tasking out what you're going to do. And listen, everything doesn't have to be perfect for you to begin pursuing. Your BHAGs shouldn't be limited. Your BHAGs are limitless. Don't look at what lemons you have right now in your basket, right? Think outside the box. If there were no obstacles standing in your path, what would you want to accomplish in your lifetime? Listen, I enjoy speaking on different platforms, both live and virtual. This is actually great practice for me to continue to speak while we are locked in, and it helps me to develop my speaking skill. And so I've pushed myself outside of the box to do these conversations live 3 times a week. Now, while I'm not looking at an audience, I know that there's an audience here. There are a good many people joining us in the comments. And good morning to Ralston. Good morning, Norman. Good morning to all of you. I see Jason here. I see Joseph here. Bertlan, Annette, many of you who are probably hanging out and just listening in. But I appreciate you here. And speaking is something that I'm not always comfortable with when I'm speaking live. I get butterflies, my heart's racing. But I love to jump on a stage, and oftentimes I zone out when I do, and I deliver a talk. And 9 times out of 10, following that talk, I have so many people that come up to me and share an appreciation for how a certain message might have impacted where they're trying to go. An impact is at the core of my own personal mission, right? I'm on a mission to impact as many people in this world as I can in the time that God allows me to be here. So that's, you know, that's part of my vision. That's part of my mission. And I'll talk more of this, more about my vision and mission throughout our time, right? But what is your mission? what is your vision in your life? Get clear on that big picture. Get clear on what needs to happen. Begin to reverse engineer what needs to happen over the coming years, over the coming months, over the coming weeks and days in order for you to pursue some of that. Tomorrow's not promised. This past year has taught us that. So many people that you and I know are battling COVID, have lost the battle to COVID, or other, in other scenarios. I had one of my dearest friends had a younger sister just 2 weeks ago who passed away in a car accident. And so I'm reminded that tomorrow is not promised, but if God gives me air in these lungs and the ability to continue to push forward, I know exactly what I'm going to do, right? And there are times where that's not as clear, and you keep fighting towards that clarity, right? So this week, I'm challenging you to grab a pad and pen, begin documenting the things that you're most passionate about, the things that you have skills and talents. You're documenting your inventory, if you will, of your passion, the things that you have a burning desire to achieve, the things that you're skilled and talented at, and the things that in a grouping of skills and talents and your passion and your desires, where can you actually profit from that? How can you profit from that? We need to be the CEOs of or own. You're the CEO of you, right? I'm gainfully employed. I love my role at the Sands Institute. I'm enjoying each and every challenge, each and every day as a marketer. But in addition to that, I've enjoyed this time with my podcast. I enjoy teaching individuals how to develop a personal brand. I enjoy speaking on stages. These are also multiple other channels of income, multiple other channels of me developing skills beyond the work world that I end up bringing into my work world. So, I am both entrepreneur and employee, and I enjoy that. I enjoy all the things I do, and it allows me to create multiple streams of income in 2020 and beyond, 2021 now and beyond. I think we all need that, right? Last year's taught us that, nothing's promised, right? So I think having that hedge, having that ability to have sources of income in different places adds to the security element as well of making sure that you can provide for your home and for your family and for your future dreams, and to be able to retire and invest and save and all that good stuff. So listen, Mondays, my challenge was to keep my videos below 5 minutes to 10 minutes. Today, I've gone on way past 20. So I'm going to wrap it up here. But thank you so much for Annette for dropping all these great books that I shared in the thread. There's several here. So make sure you drop a comment below. Let me know if there are other good books that you're reading right now that you think we should add to the queue. My one action this week is to sit down, to document the things that God's been placing in your heart, on your mind, in your thoughts, that you can't get around. He's planting that vision in you, and it's your job now to document those big, hairy, audacious goals and begin to task out how you will work to get those done. Have a fantastic week. God bless. Cheers.